Good morning, everyone. I am Kirill K. Tevera, and I'm here to present the Chapter 6 Making Informed Decision. Our objectives on this video are that you will be able to understand and apply the four ethical theories on moral issues involving the self, society, and environment. But this video, we will only focusing on the individual or self. In the realm of the self, one has to pay attention not just how one deals with oneself, but also on how one interacts with other individuals. One may respond to the demand for an ethically responsible care for the self by using four ethical theories or frameworks. In the application of human action, especially in the individual or self, that covers in are the theories, namely Mills, utilitarianism, Thomas Aquinas' theories on natural law, Immanuel Kant on deontology, and Aristotle of virtue ethics. So these theories may lead to a various standard of individual behavior inside the group. In this video, we will inhale each of these principles' views on how humans should think on how it affects the community, or she lives in and blend in, if it is possible to follow rules inside the culture or instill the individual tiered virtues by itself. Mill's utilitarianism, seemingly a hedonistic theory given its emphasis on maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain, raised the human element above the animalistic and above merely being selfish, stresses the difference between kinds of pleasure, and remarks that it is better to be a Socrates dissatisfied rather than a pig satisfied. This important distinction raises the individual above her purely physical, material feelings or emotions. What is good or right does not simply reduce to what I feel is good for me, but which would be of benefit to the greatest number affected. One's ethical responsibility to herself then is to make sure that what she does will be for the greatest happiness, not just in the number but in kind, and not just for her but for everyone affected by her acts. Among the four ethical theories, the first one is utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is a theory of morality which advocates action that foster happiness or pleasure and opposes action that cause happiness or harm when directed toward making social, economic, or political decisions. A utilitarian philosophy would aim for the betterment of society as a whole. So utilitarianism would say that an action is right if it results in the happiness of the greatest number of people in a society or a group. So utilitarianism is an ethical theory that determines that rights from wrong by focusing on outcomes. So it is a form of conceptualism. It holds that the most ethical choice is the one that will produce the greatest good for the greatest number. So it is the only framework that can be used to justify military force or war. It is also the most common approach to moral reasoning used in business because of the way in which in the courts for cost and benefits. However, because we cannot predict the future, so it is difficult to know with this certainty whether the consequences of our action will be good or bad. So this is one of the utilitarianism. It is also has trouble accounting for values such as justice and individual rights. Individual self-interest or egoism, when individuals are deciding what to do for themselves alone, they consider only their own utility. So example, if you are choosing ice cream for yourself, the utilitarian view is that you should choose the flavor that will give you the most pleasure. Thomas Aquinas' natural law theory states that all human beings share with all others existing things, namely the natural tendency to maintain oneself in one's existence. Thus, any action that sustains one's existence is to be deemed good, while all actions that distract of one's existence is to be deemed bad or evil. Species that taking care of one's being is a moral duty that one owes to herself and to God. Says that parts one's responsibility to herself is a dedication to the truth and to live a harmonious social life. Teaches that a person cannot remain within her own self selfish desire, since doing so might lead her to harm herself, to dispense with the truth, or to destroy harmony in her community. Natural law is a theory in ethics and philosophy that says that human beings possess intrinsic values that govern our reasoning and behavior. Natural law maintains that these rules of rights and wrong are inherent in people and are not created by society or court judges. Any action, therefore, that sustains and cultivates one's biological or physical existence is to be deemed good, while all actions that lead to the destruction of one's existence is to be called bad or evil. Example, when you choose to study and it helps to improve yourself, then it is good. But when you choose not to study and it has a bad effect on your performance in school, then it is evil. So, for the example, it is stated that on your decision harm oneself, that it is bad. But when your decision has a good effect on oneself, so that it is considered good. So from the word natural law, it means that things like exercising and studying can help to improve oneself, and natural law theory will agree with this act since it is good for oneself. So Kant's deontology goes beyond simply telling people not to use others as instruments. Naturally, there is nothing wrong with using a human being as a means for one's purposes, because human interaction is not possible without the happening. But what he is concerned with this is when someone merely uses a human being as a means, not as the end or goal of an action. Deontology is an ethical theory that uses rules to distinguish right from wrong. Modern deontological ethics was introduced by the great philosopher Immanuel Kant in the late 18th century. Unlike consequentialism, deontology does not weigh the cost and benefits of the situation to avoid subjectivity, because you just have to follow some set of rules. In deontology, one action is considered morally good based on the characteristics of the action and the outcome of the action. Deontological ethics also holds that some acts are morally obligatory no matter what the consequences is for human welfare, and a subheading. Example, when someone in your family is seriously ill and already in a critical state but don't have the money to buy the said medicine, and you know that stealing is bad, but you don't have any other options but to steal it in order to save your family. Aristotle's virtue ethics emphasizes self-cultivation and self-improvement to achieve eudaimonia. He believes that one's ethical responsibility is self-cultivation, and one's action should lead to better character cultivation. Making mistakes is important, but the key is learning from them to construct a more orderly life. Aristotle emphasized the importance of learning from one's experiences to become a better person, rather than simply living a series of mistakes. Virtue ethics is normative ethical theories that emphasize virtues of mind, character, and sense of honesty. Virtue ethics mainly deals with the honesty and morality of a person. It states that practicing good habits such as honesty, generosity makes a moral and virtuous person. It guides a person without specific rules for solving ethical complexity. The purpose of man is to achieve eudaimonia, which is a state of serene and permanent happiness, rather than the momentary exaltation of the senses. In this way, our action will be good or bad depending on this ultimate goal. So, virtue ethics mainly deals with the honesty. So when we say eudaimonia, it is a Greek word commonly translated is happiness or welfare. So it is essential concept in Aristotelian ethics and political philosophy. So, it is most often translated as virtue or excellence in practical or ethical wisdom. So, Aristotle takes virtue in its exercise to be the most important constituent for eudaimonia, but acknowledges also the importance of the external goods such as health, wealth, and beauty. For Aristotle, eudaimonia could be achieved through living virtuously, or what we might describe as being good. Example, living healthy is a good action because it provides us with good health, which in the long run gives us happiness.